Okay, boys and girls, so today you're just going to be continuing to design your paper, your circles in whatever way that you want to design them. I am going to design my circles in a flower garden because I love flower gardens. And so I am going to do that, but I'm going to do that in quick motion. Remember, you can hold your paper like this if you want, like this, whatever you want to, however you want to hold it. It does not matter. So it's whatever wherever your imagination takes you, you can hold it that way. Okay, I'm going to do it in time lapse, so it's really quick. Okay, so I want you to see how many details I have in this picture. So I have all of my flowers. Oh, I didn't do the stem to this, so it doesn't make sense. I have to do a stem so that it is actually growing out of my garden. And then maybe I'll have some kind of leaf to it, like that. Okay, so your picture has to make sense for wherever it is. If it's in outer space, things can be just floating around. But if it's on the planet, then there should be a ground, there should be a sky, there should be things happening in the picture. So I filled in all the space that I could. Maybe I could put something here. There's a tiny bit of space right here. Maybe I could put something in here. There's a tiny bit of space here. But I tried to fill in everything that I possibly could. Now I also tried to include as many details as I possibly could. We talked about this last week, how details make everything so much better in your art. So if you have a flower and it just has these petals, that's not a big detail. Every flower has petals, but maybe it has these other petals that grows beyond it. Maybe it has a green leaf that grows beyond them. So this flower is now more complicated and it's more interesting to look at. So if I just did a sun, it would just be a sun, but I added the detail of having the sun actually having a face. So now, maybe I want the sun to have eyelashes, even more details. As I look at my picture, I always can think of more things that I can add on to give my picture more details. Today, since this is such an important factor in what you are designing, I am going to give the student that has the most details in their picture a kindness coin. So it's kind of like a competition. But if you're not interested in doing a ton of details, then you don't have to. I mean, it's just a kindness coin. So I did a butterfly, I did clouds in the sky, I did a bee here, I did a ladybug here, I did all of my circles as flowers that are in my garden. The flowers have different kinds of petals, they have different kinds of insides, and everything has lots and lots of details. So for this one, it has those seeds that are inside, like a sunflower, then it has this petal, then it has the circle as the second kind of petal, then it has the zigzag as the third kind of petal, then it has this as the fourth kind of petal, then it has this weird stamen as the fifth kind of petal. So this has a lot of details, lots and lots of details. But this with just 3 details looks really cool too. I have the butterfly even has details. I'm separating out the wings so that I can make them different colors. I separated out the body. That's another detail. So you can always add details onto your picture. All right. So we'll see how many details you can have on your picture. This does take a long time. If it takes the whole period for you to do your details, you are doing it right. Good. All right. So if it doesn't take the whole time for you to do your pictures, I want you to concentrate on one thing in your picture, and I am going to give you some color pencils. So, color pencils. I am going to do the bee so that we can see what I'm talking about. You are going to be using color pencils in a totally different way for this project. I want you to try to use some parts of your picture really hard with the colored pencil, really solid, really dark as the color can get. And I want you to do other parts really light and to see how that looks different. So I'm going to do the outside of this bee really, really dark. The outside of the body kind of thing, really, really dark. And then as I get towards the inside, I want it to be lighter and lighter, lighter and lighter. So this is like a medium right here, and this is really light. So I'm going to do this really, really dark on the outside. I want the bee to look three-dimensional, so that's why I'm coloring it this way. If you want to do the whole bee really, really dark and then do something else in your picture really, really light, you don't have to have this ombre effect that I'm doing. You can do something really, really dark and then something else really, really light. So for the wing, actually, let me do the legs. So the legs, I'm going to press really hard with my pencil because I'm using different pressures of the pencil. That's what we are learning about, different pressures of a color pencil. I'm going to go back to a light blue. I shouldn't say back. I haven't used the light blue yet. For the wings. So I'm going to go over my line that I did in pencil very, very hard. I'm using a different pressure. Very, very hard for this pressure that I'm going over my pencil marks. You are only doing one thing. Most of your time is going to be spent designing this, and then you're only coloring in one thing if you have time. If you spend the whole time designing this, you probably are doing a lot of details and doing a really great job. So now I'm going to go and I'm just going to color the rest of it light. I'm not going to have a gradual lightness at all. I'm just going to color the rest of it light so that you can see that I used different pressure. It's the same color, but it looks different because I used a different pressure when I am coloring it in. So some is going to be very light pressure, some of it's going to be very dark pressure. See how I have those crumbs? I don't want to go like this with the crumbs because that would create a line across the paper, and I don't want that. So I'm going to take my paper and I'm going to tap, 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 and get those crumbs off of there. You also don't want to blow the crumbs because you're going to blow them to your neighbor and they're not going to like having that in their eye. So you want to just tap, tap, tap on the middle of the table and you're good to go. So my bee is done, and that is the one thing that I chose. Remember, if you get done with designing your picture, then you're only coloring in one item on your picture. You're not doing more than one item. You should be spending the entire time designing your picture, but just in case a few people get done early, they can design one thing on their picture to start getting used to using the different pressures of the pencil. Remember, as always, to do your best work and have fun.